Hey, this is Kevin. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining me today. I'm sorry I haven't posted any video for a while, but today I'm going to walk through a process of how to replace a damaged panel on my Akiya house in Japan. Hopefully this will show you, if you have a similar project, how I reuse the frame and put a new panel on and where I find the material. So first, we got to find the material for the replacement. So it's depend on the area where you're living. If you live in a city or the rural like me, and the store that you can find. But in my case, I have DMC, which I find most of my DIY material is here. Also as Mary, they depend on the location. You can go to either one of them. If not, Conan is just one other replacement. But my best suggestion for you is to find a lumber store or a carpenter. Talk to them, find out where the lumber store or the miller store are. In my case, I got this panel from the lumber store. So what I did is I took out the old panel and then measure everything, or in fact, take the individual panel measurement, length, width, and depth, and I provide that to the owner of the shop. So he was able to. He's really nice. He was able to take all the measurement again for me, and then he said, "Okay, come back in 2 days, and he's gonna make the panel for me." So I would suggest you, I think, measure the original panel, and then give an extra length to it a little bit. So you can do a final cut at the end when you got the material. One thing to notice too is some panel might be long, the width may be longer than the other. So the when you take it out, make sure you have the right order when you put it back, because the measurement might not be all the same from left to right. Let's just look at the picture that I'm showing you right now. So next step is remove all the individual panel and then carefully, not to break anything, especially the support or the horizontal support. As you see, I removed the big outside frame on the right hand side only, and I keep everything still intact. Reason why is less moving part, and I still have a frame to put back the new panel once I cut it out. So you see I'm carefully removing and give it a very light touch, and then remove the nail and remove it out from the rail. So here's a good time for you to do a cleanup. You can spray with water, clean it with soap or whatever. In my case, I don't think I need those, so I just do a brush. Next up, what I did is I placed the old panel and put it over to trace, give exactly trace of the side that I need. You could do the measurement again, but I just decided to use and trace it over, which it worked perfectly fine. I know I gave the measurement to the carpenter, but I think the only thing important here is the depth of the wooden panel, because it needs to slide into the original little rail pocket. So next up, I tried to use a handsaw to do some pre-cut, and then trying to go along the line, but it seemed like it's very a dull saw and it's sticky, so it's going to be a long process. So I went to grab my multi-tool, and I do have a small blade that I can use, and this one is the first time I'm using it, and it seemed like to work very well, and it cut very nicely through the wood. This blade is you can cut wood or metal. That's what it written on the name, and I got this with a combo, and I think it's cost about 10-15 bucks for 4 or 5 blades, different types, of course. So as you can see that I went through the material very nice and very quickly without having any problem. I guess you can deal with the handsaw as well, but this seemed to work for me at this moment. So since this is my first panel and my first cut, I just want to make sure I did it right. which means that I'm going to do a remeasurement and make sure, okay, here's my cut. Where do I stop? Am I on the right track? One of the other reasons why you have to double and triple your check is when you cut it, the material you don't have extra, and these are special material, so make sure you have it measured down or mark it correctly before you do a final cut, because once you cut it, it's done. You can't reuse it. You have to go get it from the lumber store again or whatever you get it. And to do one of this panel, I think it will not quite easy, because when I order this, when I place the order, I place 4 big panel. So what I'm doing right here is just one big panel with 4 individual small panel inside. When I place the order, I place all 4 big panel with the lumber store, and that way he was able to make a lot of piece for me, because to plant it to this size very thin, and you might or the shop owner might not doing one individual piece for you. If you do multiple piece, and it makes sense for him to do it, but here again, they might be able to do it for you, but the cost may be substantial higher. So I finished my first panel cut, and this is how I trim it. I use a planer and I trim the edge a little bit. So if you, I watched YouTube video as well, and I seen most carpenter, when they're trying to slide into the small groove here, they always trim the edge to make it the insertion is easier. So as you can see here, I'm trying to put it into the slot, and it seems to be working. The size worked perfectly, right? And it's sliding into the slot as expected, which I'm very grateful for it. So it's looking good. So here again, we're going through the same process as you already know. So I'm going to speed up this process really quick with the higher speed. Basically going through, mark the side that I want. This time I don't use the overlap anymore, because I know what exactly side, and then I just give a little bit extra to it. I can trim at the end if I need to, and then do a measurement and do a cut. So just to be sure, double check your work, triple check your work before you do a cut. So I finished the second panel cut, and I'm gonna try to put it on. First I gotta put the second support rail, the horizontal rail, on to the existing frame, and then gonna slide in the second panel. You can see the panel. I have a drawing on the second panel that I'm holding right now. I'm drawing a line, and why did I have that? Because that was supposed to be my cut, but I decided not to cut that way, because down on the left hand side it will be a better cut, because you see the pattern from left to right. I think that pattern is nice to keep. You don't want to cut out from the top. And one of the things that I realized after this panel is, I think I should, make all the panel pattern closely alike, meaning they should either flow left or flow right based on the mark. And make sure when you do a pre-cut, you have that in mind, and you lay it out and decide which way you should lay your panel and do a mark and cut. Here you go. This is my third panel, and doing the same thing, mark and cut. For this whole process, I would say allow yourself about half of the day of work. If you're a little slower, it might be take about 6 hours. But everything should be very simple, doing the same thing, repeated jobs. The only hard part is at the end, you have to reassemble the final panel. As you can see here, I have a little bit difficulty using that handsaw and the multi-tool coming in and help me cut that final cut. So I got the third panel in place, assemble, and you can see it, the pattern is flow to the left hand side. So that's my goal. So here you go, my last panel, doing a quick cut and then finish up with the tool and the planer. And you see I'm playing down a little bit so that remove all that little splinter at the edge, and it's also help slide into the groove. It's looking good right now, right? All the pattern one way except the last one. I should have done that, but that's a lesson learned. So here is the final step, reassembling it. So you put the outside frame on top, exactly how you assemble a puzzle, right? You put the last piece on and then check alignment, check everything, make sure everything is lined up before you secure. Don't hammer all the way down and then you find yourself that, hey, there's a small panel that is not alignment. That's gonna be tough. You have to remove everything out and then reassemble it. So you see I'm trying to secure front and back and hammer in all the side. So make sure everything is secured down and check all the corner. More hammering, make sure it's everything tight and everything. Run your hand around the corner, make sure everything is not overlap. So here's the final process, nail it down. So I find this nail is look like copper, but I don't think it's truly copper, but it's I think it worked well. So you remember there's a line, horizontal line that going across the these wooden panels. So you gotta find it and mark it to the front where you're gonna nail it down. In my case, I marked the location of the horizontal panel, and then each panel I have 3 screws to hold it down. So 1 in the middle and 2 at the edge to make sure that I have a good secure. Because imagine this is a winter storm door and you expect a lot of wind blowing through it, so you can't really have 1 screw or 2 screws. So and as you see right now, I'm going through the panel, mark additional. So actually I having 3 row and each panel have 3 screw. So you're looking at what 9 screw per panel, per individual panel. Here we go, going through it, doing the edge, do the middle, and do the edge again. It's a quick process, so I keep calling these are screw, but they actually nail. So it's a quick process. Just go through the mark line that you have and nail it down, and that should be an easy task. Just go through the process. So by the time that I'm finished everything, the rain come, and I'm glad that I got the project done and enjoying the view. So I took the panel and brought up to my 2nd floor, and of course it's a 2nd floor, so I gotta have a harness or something to protect myself from falling. As you can see, the panel look good, in good shape, everything lined up, and I'm ready to install on the outside. So make sure you have something secure yourself, and then find your best method to put it up. In my case, it's very simple, slide up and connecting to the window support. One thing I didn't show you guys the outside how it looked, but I did remove the kind of guardrail that prevent this unit from falling down, and I just I have that pre-cut as one of the older part that you need to find, or I did find on this replacement. So I took out the old one, I got the new screw, and then nail it down onto the window support. You can call it a sill or a rail. So that's just pretty simple. I got to the side I need, I cut it and then nail it down. So yes, this is the overall process of how I replace the wooden panel on top, and you can see it's go outside the window, and when I'm going away, these windows are closed, so just prevent from any flying object that go into the window. Thank you very much again for your staying and watching this to the end. Hopefully I can come out more video and how I do things at my Japanese house in Japan.